It's what I'm good at anyway. But I like to get things stirred up inside of you. And believe it or not, this is inspired by a song I heard this week, and I've heard this song before. I was just riding along to pick up, trying to. I had a. I had weeks where I was really struggling. Okay, I'll be quite honest with you. I was struggling. I had some things in my lap that was not supposed to be mine to deal with this week, and I'm trying to work with no communication, little communication, and trying to just get my head wrapped around things. And so I was having this week where I was struggling with just being myself. And as I'm driving along in the pickup, kind of finally got a moment to myself and I'm driving along, this song comes on. It's on my playlist. And I've heard this song a bunch of times, but never really just kind of took it in. And the name of the song is Miracles, but not the one 100 just sang. It's a completely different song. But the name of the song is Miracles. And he began to ask the questions. He said, let me get this right. I want to get this down right. So the song states that we are be assured that we've been given everything. And this is coming from God. We're supposed to be assured that we've been given everything. Okay? He said but we want to see miracles. And he's singing this song. He said, I want to see miracles. Then he states, we want to see mountains move. We want to see the glory of God fill the room. And we want to see people saved. We want to see the nations pray, and we want to see love have its day. That's what we're supposed to be seeing. And we'll all say that, but what are we willing to do to go for it? What are we willing to do to actually push forward and go with it? What are we willing to do? And the sad thing is most people, when they meet opposition, especially when it comes to the spiritual, we stop and back up because we're not willing to push through a little opposition. We're not willing to push through a little opposition. And I'm fixing to read y'all a couple of stories. I got a lot of Old Testament scripture for y'all this morning. I'm going to build this so y'all can see what I'm talking about. But we get to places where we meet just a little bit of opposition and we're done. We can't do this anymore. It's too hard. But yet in the natural, we'll go toe-to-toe with whatever. I mean, we'll stand up, bow up, and we'll go at it in the natural because it's something we want to see. So push me around. You hear me? You ain't going to push me around. But we'll come up to things in the spirit and we'll fall over and bow over backwards, one little push. And so it's like, what do you want to see? What are you willing to go for? And if y'all don't know, we've got an MMA fighter in the house today. Got a couple of them in here, I think. Do you back down from opposition? No. So why does it come to the spirit that we all want to back up? We can't go there. Oh, no, please don't. But yet we expect to see a different result. We'll sing songs about I believe in you and I believe in miracles for somebody else. We'll believe in it for everybody. We'll believe in it for your life. I'll believe in it for your life. I'll believe in it for your life. But when it comes to me, God just can't work it for me. I'm a special, unique case. He hasn't figured this one out for me yet. I told you I was going to meddle this morning. Got the anointing rolling feel all over me. Ain't about a feeling like it. But we get in the places where this opposition meets, and then we're like, oh no, we can't do this. We back up. We go and hide. And God says, time to come on out. What do you want to see? And I equate things like this. I always look in the natural. I was even telling Josephine this morning, there are times that things pop up that even in myself, I begin to see where I'm not allowing my faith to work the way it should. We get so busy and caught up with how everybody else's faith can work. I can believe for you and I can help you and I can help grow your faith. And all of a sudden it comes back to me and I'm like, I find myself stumbling in some areas of where faith should be working in my life. It's like, oh God, I've missed it here. I'm missing it here. I'm missing it here. And most of y'all's faith is put to the test when you get your paycheck on Friday or whenever it is you get your paycheck. All of a sudden your faith is put to the test of looking at the amount. And then you look over at the bills and back at the amount. Like, God, you really want me to tithe? Do you see this? You want me to tithe? You want 10% of this? You see this? But did you see this? And that's a simple first step. But we get to this point where we're looking and our faith is not even there for this. I'm meddling, guys, and I'm going to do it. But you get to this spot where it's like, okay, I can have faith for you. All right, God can bless you. My God, He can take your check and just multiply it. They can't do it with mine. Simple thought patterns that we have are of our faith, and we're not willing to go somewhere. And so I had to just simply drop in my spirit this weekend. What do you want to see? And what are you willing to do to see it come to pass? And it's all about the faith and all about what we get to work. And the major thing is about faith, the amazing thing about faith is it didn't even start with us. The faith we have wasn't even ours. He gave it to us. We already have God's faith. Everybody standing here says that every man was given a measure of faith means God give it to you. But if the size of a mustard seed will move a mountain, it don't take a whole lot to move things. But we get wrapped up in our knowledge. That gray mush between your ears gets you in a lot of trouble. We get wrapped up in our knowledge. We get wrapped up in the things that we get wrapped up in the things that other people tell us. And trust me, if I'd have went with what everybody else told me, I wouldn't be standing here today. If we got wrapped up in what everybody told us, a lot of us wouldn't be sitting here today. So think about that. What do you want to see? Like I said, I'm going to go Old Testament on you today. I'm going to go old school. But you know, some of y'all right now, y'all be looking at something in your life and it looks like a mountain to you. But you have to understand what God is like a speck of dust. It's gone. But you got to have faith in the fact that you can move the mountain through Him. You can see things change in your life through Him. But it's the faith at which we're supposed to exercise. We already have it. There ain't a person on the face of the earth that says, I don't have any faith. That's bull. You just chose not to use it. You just chose not to use it. It's kind of like having a pocket knife. I got it with me all the time, but if I don't pull it out and use it, it's not doing me a whole lot of good. So that's the way faith is. It's right there. It's as handy as a pocket knife. We have it. Very rarely you're going to catch me with a pocket knife. That's just who I've always been. I've always carried a pocket knife. I've even tried to figure out how to carry them on planes and everything else. It's just, that's my makeup. I just carry a pocket knife. I always have. And so it's very hard for me to walk off and leave my pocket knife at home because it's a part of me. There's a weight to it. It's not massively huge, but there's some weight to it. And when it's not in my pocket, I feel it. It's gone. It's not there.
Wow, that's good.
So the faith that we should have should be a weight that we have. We know it's there. And if we ain't using it and it's not with us, we should feel the fact that it's something's missing. Something's not growing. Something's not with me. Y'all catching this morning? This is fun. This is fun. For me, anyway. But we want to see something. What is it do you want to see? What are you willing to exercise to see it? What are you willing to exercise to see it? I was watching this song a while ago, and it's talking about we wait for you. I want y'all to put this in perspective. We all see that word wait. Everybody's saying, I'm waiting on the Lord. If you're standing still, not doing anything, you're already in the wrong place. What does wait mean? Put a towel over your arm. You become a waiter. You're serving. What does a waiter do in a restaurant? Serving. They're serving. So when you're waiting upon the Lord, that's what you're doing. You're serving Him and serving the people. We're not to be still. We're not to be still. We're to be waiting. We're to be serving. So what it means to be waiting upon the Lord is we're serving Him, serving people. Every one of us go to work every week with the faith that we're going to get a paycheck. We ain't seen it yet. But we do what it takes to see it. We go and we work. We work our hours. We do the things that we do with an expectancy. See, you see how easy it is when you begin to see what we're doing in the natural and how easy it is that we do it in the natural. But also when it comes to the things of the Spirit, we're like, this can't work. This doesn't work. Some of us, like me and Jason, we get paid every 2 weeks, so we're putting in 80 plus hours a week for 2 weeks with an expectancy that we're going to receive a paycheck every 2 weeks. Teachers get once a month, so they're working all month with the expectancy that there's going to be a paycheck at the end of the month. So we ask God for something, or pray to the Father over something other, and it ain't happened in 30 seconds. Doesn't work. Didn't work. Why? It's because you had absolutely no faith behind what you were doing. It was just a little sound that went up and it fell back down. It was a popcorn prayer, what I call them. It didn't even hit the ceiling. It poof and fell. If you got a little Yorkie running around the house, she'll pick it up and eat it for you. Meddling, guys, meddling. But this is true. You got to see. You got to put things in perspective. We have to put things in perspective. That's why I love ministering the gospel. That's why I love ministering, because I can put it into perspective. Too many of us have heard the great and grand, glorious religious side of everything, but nobody's told you how to put it in applicable positions and how to actually work it in life. So how do you work these things in life? What do you want to see? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to walk through to get to where it is you want to go? Guys, we face things in life. We will always face things in life. Why? Because it's life. People are people. Things happen. I can't control you. You can't control people. The only thing that you have control of is yourself. That's the only thing you can control is yourself. The way you react, the way you respond, the way you think, the things you're going to say. It's you. I have control over nobody on the face of this earth but me. And how I respond, how I react, what I say, what I do, even my thought patterns determine me. So things happen in life. It is how we react, how we respond to these things is going to determine the outcome we're going to see. And if you want to see God do something, and we're waiting on him to do something, and we got faith in him doing something, then we truly got to have faith in the midst of what's going on and speak to it. Instead of just letting it flitter, oh, it didn't work. It didn't work. A lot of us today are sitting here today on somebody else's faith, because somebody else had more faith in us than we had in ourselves. But the faith that we have was given to us, and it's for us to grow. It's for us to see things come to pass. It's for us to exercise it. You don't go to the gym one time and walk out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It don't happen. It doesn't happen. You don't start a diet today and shed 20 pounds by tomorrow. Why? It's because there's a process. There's some things that you've got to get in order and keep in order. There's a process. Now, I'm not saying God can't do something miraculously right then, because it does happen. But there's a process. And that's why we grow our faith. It's a process. We see things. But it's amazing how we put so much more faith in somebody else than we do in ourselves. And we put more faith in what's happening in the natural. Well, Pastor, this is life. I had somebody tell me that this week. You need to get out of all the fairy dust and this, that, and the other. It is this is happening day to day to day to day. Everything is by the Spirit of God. Everything is by the Spirit of God. Everything happening in the natural now is birthed by the Spirit of God. I may live in this carnal world, but my home is in the Spirit. I ain't staying here. So everything is by the Spirit. That's where my faith is. It's in God. Everything he says is mine. Everything he says, I live by. And so we got to begin to mold ourselves in that area and begin to mold ourselves, let him mold us. Let him shape us into that. But we've got to exercise what we've been given. Amen. You're on over to Numbers chapter 13. Well, guys, we have to see things when it happens. We got to see it as done. That's the other thing. We've got to see it as done. That's how we go by faith. We got to see the outcome and see it as done. You know, when God spoke the world into existence and he began to speak everything into life, he seen the beginning to the end. He knew the start. He knew the end. He knew you before you ever knew yourself. You were already in the heart of him before you were ever created. So he's already seen you from the start to the end. And he has the faith that you would choose him, although it's our choice. But he saw you from the front to the back. He sees you all the way through. He sees you complete sitting with him. That's faith. That's God's faith. That's what we have. I made the numbers yet? Chapter 13. Starting verse 17. So then Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan. Now let me set this up for you real quick. God has promised the children of Israel something. He has promised them this land. All right. He's took them out of Egypt. After he told them they'd be captive for 400 years, and it was 430 years. I'd have to go back and look at the timeline for sure. But he had already told them that they were going to be captive for 400 years because of disobedience. And he gets them to the land of Egypt, and he takes them out of the land of Egypt. And now they have seen all kinds of miracles take place up to this point. They've seen the plagues take over everything in Egypt and never touch them. They've seen the wall of the cloud. They've seen the wall of fire. All up to this point. Okay, so they've watched Pharaoh and his whole army drown in the Red Sea by the hand of God. So to set this up for you. So then Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up this way and into the south and go up to the mountains. And said, what the land is like, whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, few or many. So Moses is telling them to go spy, but he's already, go see if they're strong or weak, if there's a bunch or a few of them. It shouldn't matter at this point. At this point, it should already not matter. You're seeing this? It shouldn't already matter, but Moses is already questioning. The leader is already questioning. Go check them out. Ain't nothing wrong with going spying out the land and been given, but go ahead and go find the strategic points for us to go and see if that's where God wants us to go, instead of go see if they're big or little, if they're few or many, if they can whoop us or not. Already got the wrong attitude. So whether the land they dwell in is good or bad. Well, if God's going to send you somewhere, why would it be good or bad? It's going to be good. He's already told them he's going to give it to them. Land flowing with milk and honey means it is full. So why would it be good or bad? You see how we do this? God will promise us something and we begin to walk it out in our own carnal. Even though we've seen things, we still walk it out in our carnal minds of maybe. Told you I was going to meddle. So whether the land they dwell in is good or bad, whether the cities they inhabit are like camps or strongholds. See, it's constant. So whether the land is rich or poor, whether there are forests or not, be of good courage. Oh, okay. Now that I've given you all the bad stuff to look for, be of good courage. And bring some of the fruit of the land. So now the time for the season for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath. And they went up through the south and came to Hebron. Ahiman, I don't know if I can say all these, Shishai, Talmai, and the descendants of Anak were there. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. So then they came to the valley of Eshcol, and they cut down a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they carried it between the two of them on a pole. Well, I've seen a cluster of grapes, and they fit in my hand, so I have a hard time picturing a cluster of grapes that's got to fit between two men on a pole. So this sounds like a good land to me. It said they also brought up some of the pomegranates and figs. The place was called the Valley of Eshcol because of the cluster which the men of Israel cut down there. And they returned from spying out of the land after 40 days. So they're in here checking this out for 40 days. So now they departed and came back to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. And it brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. So come up and see what we found. And they told them and said, we went to the land where you sent us, and it truly does flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. So you sent us, this is truly the fruit of the land. This is what we found. So nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. And the Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites and all the other ites dwell by the sea along the banks of the Jordan. It said, then Caleb quieted the people before Moses. Now this is where faith steps in. They don't went and looked. They've been searching for 40 days. They've been out here looking. They see the fruit of the land. You've got two men who went out and searched this place for 40 days. They're watching. They're looking at all the people. They seen the cities, the fortified, all this. They brought back the fruit of the land, okay? And he's standing before the people, and this is what he tells them. He said, let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it. That should have been the end of the story. That should have been the end of it right there. This is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be the Caleb. We're supposed to be the one that says, no matter what it looks like, we are well able to possess and overcome. We are well able to take care of the situation. We are well able to push through this situation, and let's deal with it. Who cares if the land's full of giants? Who cares if all of this stuff? Because the enemy wants you to see what it looks like. He's going to paint this big, broad picture for you of everything you can't do. And by yourself, you cannot. Me by myself can't deal with a lot of things. But my faith in God and who he is within me is what I'm able to overcome everything else. That's how I'm able to go and do the things that I do. That's why we're able to overcome the things that we overcome in life, is because of him. So this should have been end of story. We are well able to possess. Let's go at once. It's not like, hey, let's take time for the next 40 days and get everything together. He's like, let's go at once. Let's go ahead. Let's march against them. Let's take them out. In his mind, it's already done deal. God's promised us this land. But here's where friends, family, co-workers, people around you begin to speak and talk. So, but the men who had gone up with them said, we are not able to go against this people. I don't see how we're going to be able to do this. Doctors looking at you, telling you all of this. I'm sorry, there's nothing else we can do. Some of us may have heard that before. There's nothing else we can do. We're not able to do this. Sorry. They're wrapped up in themselves. These men they were not going under the power of God, and they didn't go under the faith. They went and looked at everything they couldn't do. Truth be known, they couldn't do it. Even today, there are things you can't do. There are things you can personally power through because of bullhead, ignorance, or whatever. Sometimes we just got a tenacity about us, and we'll bulldog through something. But when it comes in faith in God, we understand it's not us and it's him. That's what we're working in, is that faith. Now, these guys went up and they seen the land that had been promised to them. This was promised to them by God. And it's like, if this is what been promised to me, it's mine. And then you've got the other naysayers. No, we can't do this. We can't do this. This they're bigger than us. The situation's larger than me. There's no way this can happen. I said, but the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out. So what do you want to see? What do you want to see, and what are you willing to walk through? What are you willing to go through? When I'm talking about going through, guys, hear me on this. God does not punish you in anything. This, I'll get some flack for this one, I know. But you'll hear these that, well, God only gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. That is false. Sometimes we just walk ignorantly into the middle of something or other. Sometimes we walk willfully into the middle of something. No more than I'm going to send little one out there in the middle of the street to stop traffic. That's stupid. That'd be ignorance on my part. Send a little baby out to stop traffic. I'm going to send somebody out there that can deal with some things, sure. But God does not send you into anything. There are people, there are junk, there is sin in the world, there are stuff that comes at us. And we think, oh, God's sending me a battle. Oh, get over yourself. Get over yourself. And it's where God's testing my faith. Lord, how we preach on that one for the next several days. God doesn't test anybody. If he knows the beginning from the end, and you can find it in James, he can't test you. God cannot test you at all, so get that settled. He can't test you. If he already knows you, he already knows your makeup, he already knows you from the time he knit you in your mama's womb, front to back, all the way through. He knows who you are. He knows how you're going to respond. He can't test you. Testing you is to figure out what it is you know. Well, if he already knows everything you know, he can't test you. But the deal is we live in a sinful world. We live in a world full of sin. We live in a world full of people. There are situations and things happen because of other people. The situation you're in could be because of you. Somebody else's situation could be because of you. So we're going to deal with junk. We're going to deal with people. But it's our responses. What do I want to see? I'm going to look for somebody that's going to agree with me and what it is that we want to see. Think about it. You go around, you seek somebody to agree with you on anything. Right or wrong, you look for somebody to agree with you on what the situation is. If you're running around gossiping about somebody, you're trying to find somebody who's going to agree with you that you can settle your offense to, or you're going to look for somebody that's agreeing, that's got this like mind of what it is that you've got, because you want some agreement. Whether it's right or wrong, we want agreement. Go ahead and kick it off the boots and get a little deep. But we look for agreement. No matter when you're having a conversation with somebody, you're looking for agreement. And if you don't find agreement, what do? We walk away. We're going to find somebody else that agree with us. So what do you want to see? You better find something to agree with. Where's your faith? And find some like-minded people that's willing to get in there beside you and begin to push forward with the things that you want to see as well, because your vision should line up. They want to see the same things. They want to see the power of God moving in your life. They want to see the power of God moving somewhere, doing something. Instead of, well, it didn't work. You're right, it don't work anymore. Yes, sir. This absolutely as simple as it comes right here. Simple as it comes. Wake up in the morning, I'm sick. You're right. You look sick. He's got agreement. He's sick. Think about this, guys. It's real simple, real easy. Our children get up and they feel sick. Yeah, you look sick. Stay home from school today. Stay home. Don't do this. I'm meddling, I know, but teaching the principle. Your wife, I feel bad. You look bad. Think about it. There's an agreement that all of a sudden just happened. We opened up a world of things just all of a sudden take place because we give agreements. That's all it needed was agreement. It can stay. I'll walk in your house, you want me there, I can stay. If I walk in your house, you don't want me there, I got to leave. We do that in the natural. And if you won't leave on your own accord, I can throw you out. I can remove you. We live in Texas, y'all. There's lots of ways I can remove you. So we're looking for agreement. If it doesn't have agreement, it can't stay. That's right. So take this little small principle right here. Just sickness. It's like it pops up everywhere. And we wonder why. It's because it found agreement. We let it stay. I may look like crap. I may feel like it, but I'm not going to find somebody to agree with me over it. I'm going to find an agreement with my wife or somebody that pray for me. So you know what? I've got this symptoms going on in my body that can't stay. Let's get together on this. Let's have agreement on this. This has got to go. I can't deal with this. I've got other things in life to do. I don't have time to be right here in the midst of all of this. Pastor, you saying you don't ever get sick? I don't stay sick. I don't agree with it and let it stay. I might be feeling the effects of it, but I ain't going to agree with it. It can't stay. I can't tell you the last time I even called into work sick. I'll take that back. I can too, because I was in the hospital. A lot of y'all know that story, but I didn't stay. I was talking with a gentleman this past week, sitting in the truck with me. I was real quiet all week. I didn't say a whole lot to him. I just let him talk. And he was pretty foul-mouthed, and it's like people are people, so I let him go. And it was funny, on Friday, one of the ladies in the office had said something other to me. Me and him was going out the door. And he was sitting there for a little bit, and he's kind of quiet sitting in the truck with me. And he's like, they said, you preach? I say, absolutely. And somehow or another, we got on things, and we got talking about healing and stuff. And we was talking about, I was talking about getting a kidney stone. And he's like, well, what'd you do? He said, I heard they're painful. I said, man, it's the worst thing I'd ever felt in my life. I said, I wouldn't have wished that on my worst enemy. He's like, well, what'd you do? Well, I said, well, I went to the hospital because at the moment I was in so much pain, I didn't know what else to do. I had people praying over me, but I needed some physical quick relief. I went and found it, and I got it. And I told him, I said, doctors tell me all this stuff we wanted to do. And I said, they wanted to cut me open. And I told him no. He said, well, they got that laser. And I said, no, but I'm too big for it. They told me my bone structure's too thick. We can't get through there. So I got to cut you open. I said, you ain't cutting me open. What'd you do? I faced it. I went home. That just went over his head. I didn't even try to explain that one to him. But I thought, I dropped something in him, though. He's going to hear this. He's going to remember some of this, and he's going to remember this conversation. He's got my number. But even during that time, I didn't look for an agreement with how I was feeling. In fact, my wife had to make me get up and go somewhere because I was refusing at the time. I was hurting, but I wasn't agreeing with it. I didn't know what was going on in my body. I just knew I hurt. I was in massive pain. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't lay down, sit up, roll over, play fetch, nothing. I did not feel good. And my wife finally told me, look, we're going somewhere. And I finally come to agreement with her. It's okay. But I was looking for some relief, and I got it to where I could clear my mind to get back in faith. I didn't agree with what the doctor was telling me. Because he also told me, he said, once you've had these, it's a lifelong thing. It's a constant. You'll always have them. No, sir, not here. Not here. Not going to happen here. Why? Because me and Holy Ghost got together, and he told me what it was I was doing to my body that was causing these stones to start. So me and Holy Ghost decided we're going to quit drinking that Topo Chico mineral water. That's that simple. That simple. But you know what? I've been having my faith on that since. I don't drink Topo Chico water no more. Guess what? Ain't had no more issues. Well, Pastor, it sounds silly. Well, it can sound silly to you all you want. That's what my faith is. Holy Ghost said Topo Chico. I quit. That simple. He had to have agreement too for it to begin to work in my body. Come on, guys. See, we make this way too hard. You hear the word faith, and all of a sudden we go out yonder, out there in the heavenlies, because it only happened out here, and you've got to be this certain status to have faith work. He tells you come as a child. Little babies got more faith than we got. We let the world begin to train us. We let the world train our babies. I'll tell you that a little bit today, guys. But we allow the world to train our babies. And our babies have got more faith than we've ever had. You realize that you can take and throw a baby in the air? They know you're going to catch them. There's not a thought. If daddy ain't going to catch me, mama ain't going to catch me. Y'all be surprised at some of the stuff we used to do with that boy when he was a little bitty. Just used to get on, she'd be like, But it's like, here's something he found fun. And it never crossed his mind. And I go back and look now, I thought, my God, if I'd even seen myself doing that, I'd have probably had a heart attack. But I used to stand him on my shoulders and hold his hands, and he would just roll off. And I'd swing him between my legs, throw him way up, catch him, do it again, over and over and over. And I thought, man, that much closer to the floor, and we'd had a mess. But just things, our kids have so much faith. And that's where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be childlike in our faith, man. There is nothing he can't do for us. There is nothing that can't be done. But yet we begin to live life and we allow the world to begin to tell us what we can or can't believe in and what we should or shouldn't see. And when we begin to put our faith in the things of the world instead of the things of God. And also when the things of God comes up, it's like we're looking at a new gate. It's like it's totally foreign to us. It's like we're reading a language and we can't make it out. Like, what? This don't make any sense. Inside your spirit, man, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But you're like, no, this doesn't work. It's because we've allowed the world to train us. And faith is so simple. That's the part that we lose. It is so simple. But we lose it right there. Well, Pastor, you don't know how many times I prayed and nothing worked. All prayer works, faith works. It's just we didn't let the process finish out, or we didn't have faith to watch it come to pass. And let me tell you something, guys. Even if you don't got faith, find somebody that does. Somebody that can help you. You need agreement. The enemy's got to have agreement. He can't do nothing outside of agreement. So we need agreement. Holy Ghost needs agreement. Our faith got to have agreement. We want to see something shift and change. Find some agreement. I tell you all the time, you've already got the majority. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, hey, you got a majority. But if you're having trouble working that process, find somebody that can help you. Somebody that will get an agreement with you in faith. Because if you ain't in faith, you're in death. When I'm talking about death, I'm talking about the things of the world. It produces nothing. But we got to be in agreement. You're in agreement with something, whether you realize it or not. You're in agreement with something. Our lives are in agreement with something. Our day-to-day is in agreement with something. Our lifestyles are in agreement with something. So what are you agreeing with? Because whatever you're seeing is what you're agreeing with. You want to see it change what you're agreeing with. Everyone with 1 Samuel. Told you I was going just a little bit of old school today, Old Testament. I love the Old Testament scriptures, old stories in there. A lot of y'all know this, and this is stuff we teach our kids in children's church. We teach this to the kids in children's church, and then when we get into big church, as they like to call it, also we kind of quit teaching the basic fundamentals of faith. And the first one I just read to you, there's a basic fundamental of faith that was in there that was not in operation except for one man that I could see, or two, Josh and Caleb. Everybody else is talking about the what ifs. And they're coming in saying, hey, God said. And so we read all these Old Testament stories to our babies, and we talk about, Samson and Delilah, and we talk about the things of David and Goliath, which is the one I'm fixing to read. And we talk about all these old guys, the Daniel in the lion's den. So we love teaching our babies about this, but then it's the fundamentals of faith, and then we get into big church and we forget all about it. It's like all of a sudden we got to reach this high lofty thing up here, then we got to stay up here in the ether, as people like to call it. And it's the basic fundamentals of where we are. Faith. Without faith, you can't please God. Word tells you that. Faith pleases God. Why? It's because you're in agreement with Him. You ever notice that when you're with somebody and y'all never agree, you just really don't like them? It's hard for me to like somebody I can't agree with. If every time we have a conversation and it's a constant back and forth and we can't agree on nothing, chances are I'm not going to talk to you a whole lot. I don't like being in your presence. Why? It's because we don't really get along. We don't G-haul real well. But if we got agreement on something or other, we can talk. And now we got agreement. We can talk with one another. Why? It's because it's pleasing. It's nice to be in agreement with somebody. Right? Yeah. Y'all get where I'm going. I made it to 1 Samuel yet? Chapter 17. We'll cover quite a bit of scripture here. So now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle. And were gathered at, how you say that, Soko, which belongs to Judah, and they encamped between Soko and Azekah and Ephes-dammim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in battle array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. And it says, and a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath, from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. Now, look that up. The shortest that Goliath would have been at this point, by the best measurements, the shortest this man would have been 9'6". That's the shortest he could have been. And there's others that said he could have been up to 12 foot. Okay, I stand at almost 6'3". I'm 6'2". I've been up some men that have been over 7 foot. That's big. And not only as they go up, they usually get wider. And so I could just imagine looking at a man that's at least 9'6". This is going to be a big dude. He's going to be broad. And the fact that he's the champion of the army of the Philistines means he's a bad dude. He's a big dude. All right, so we teach this to our kids, little David and big Goliath. I don't think little David was such a little man. But also, too, it talks about Saul being head and shoulders over everybody else when he was anointed king. Well, if you go and look at the Israelis at the time, and the children of Israel, their average height was like 5'6" to 5'8". And it says that he stood a head and shoulders above, which means he'd have been around 6'2", 6'3". He'd been about my height. And so if he stood head and shoulders above everybody else, and he was considered a big man, and then you got another dude who walks out, almost 3 foot taller than him. Yeah, that's a big man. Anyway, so we'll get you on. We're talking about a big dude, and I've seen some big dudes. It's odd for me to see somebody that I look at like, man, they're a lot bigger than me. I see guys that are bigger than me, but to see somebody that's like, man, that's a lot bigger than me, that captures my attention. And you see them from a long way off. Man, that's a big dude. So I could just imagine this big dude walking out from amongst the army. He's probably head and shoulders above everybody walking out across everything. You could probably see him long before he stepped out through the people. Anyway, just getting that in your mind. Verse 5, y'all leave me alone. It said he had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And y'all read all that, and it's extremely heavy. And he had a bronze armor on his legs and bronze javelin between his shoulders, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam. That's really big. And his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels, and the shield bearer went before him. And I looked at that. It's like the dude had to have a man carry his shield. That's how big this guy is. He got to have another man carry his shield out before him. I'm thinking this guy's probably, he's probably behind the shield the whole time. He ain't worried about nothing. He's a shield bearer, so he's walking out, and Goliath could probably pick him up and hold him as the handle at this moment. So this guy's walking out carrying his shield. So he's a shield bearer, which means the shield's big enough it requires another man to carry it out for him as he's going out and doing what he's doing. And so then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, "Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and you have servants of Saul? To choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me." Anyway, he's beginning to mock them. As if he's able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. So then the Philistines said, "I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together." So now he's out here. He's defying the armies of God. He's out standing there and he's mocking them because he knows nobody's going to come up. Nobody's going to dare walk up against this man. Amen. They're not going to do it. And he knows it. So he's walking out purposely, standing before the people, standing in the valley, standing down there between them and saying, "Come on, somebody come fight me." This is what the enemy does. He walks out looking like he's big. He's walking out in all his array. He wants you to see everything he has. Look at my weaponry. Look at what I have. Look at me. Listen to me be loud. We all know those people who go out and be loud and boastful and kind of don't like them. This is the enemy walking out. He's been loud. He's been boastful. He's showing you everything he's got. Because he comes out with everything. Look at me. Look at what I have. Amen. So y'all run down to 23. This is where little David comes in. Everybody wants to say little David. I don't believe that little David was such a little man. He had to be a very stout individual for the things that he done. Just the work that he done in general, he had to be a very stout man. He was a shepherd. He kept sheep in the field. Man killed a bear. He killed a lion. It's not a little kid. Okay, we're talking about a man. He had been, I figured in the day he was probably roughed up pretty good. Probably like he chiseled out of stone. Bad looking dude. Anyway, he's talking about David here. So then as he talked with them there was a champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, coming up from the armies of the Philistine, and he spoke according to the same words, so David heard them. They said, all the men of Israel that were there, seeing the man, fled from him and were dreadfully afraid. So the enemy walks out and begins to boast again, and everybody runs. They're scared of him. And so the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come up to defy Israel, and it shall be that the man who kills the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and give his father's house exemption from taxes in Israel. So then David spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done for the man who kills the Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Only one who's speaking faith here. It said, then the people answered him in the manner saying, so shall it be done for the man who kills him. Now Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he had spoke to the men, and Eliab's anger was aroused against David when he said, why did you come down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the insolence of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle. Now let me stop right there. When you're in the midst of it, when you're in the mix, when you're down all in there and you're getting in there, you're going to have people that get mad at you. Yeah. Especially when you begin to talk faith, people get mad at you. Yeah. Do you not realize how sick you are? Do you not realize, come on, guys, faith don't work. I mean, come on. You can't have faith in this. I mean, look at how sick you are. Look at the things going on in your life. Your house is a wreck. Nothing's going on right. Nothing's going right for you. And you're trying to work this out in faith. People get mad at you. when you're doing the things and walking and standing in faith. People get mad. They don't like it. Why? Because they don't have agreement anymore. Eliab's getting mad at David because everybody else is afraid, and David's standing there like, hey, who's this guy think he is? And he's asking questions. What will happen to the man who gets rid of this guy? What's going to happen to the man that actually goes out and kills him? What happens to the man that goes out and gets rid of that standing between us? Now brother's mad. How dare the baby brother show up and try to pour some wisdom into what's going on here? And David said, what have I done now? What have I done now? Is there not a cause? So he turned from him toward another, and with the same thing the people answered him as the first one did. Now when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Saul, and he sent for him. So David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine. So David's telling him, look, be a good cheer, man. I'll go out and deal with this for you. I'll go take care of this for you. He's talking to the king at this moment. I'll go take care of this for you. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine, to fight with him, for you are a youth, and he be a man of war from his youth. And people be telling you that. You can't do this. You ain't got faith for this. You can't do this. I don't know why I keep going here, but you heard the doctor's report. You've heard what the doctor said. He's been doing this for years. He knows exactly what he's talking about. You're just you. Just go with what's been said. Go with what's being done. But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep his father's sheep. Notice he said used to keep his father's sheep. He was a shepherd right all the way up to this point. Now he's telling Saul, your servant used to keep his father's sheep. He's already making a declaration in his own life, whether he caught this or not. He said, but your servant used to keep his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came up and took a lamb out of the flock, I went after it. He said, I didn't sit and watch. I didn't go hide. I went after it. And I struck it, and I delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by the beard and struck and killed it. Says, your servant has killed both a lion and a bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God. That's all you can see in the midst of this is somebody's got faith. Everybody else is telling him what it should be. He's looking for an agreement somewhere, but he's standing up and said, hey, this dude is defying the armies of the living God. I will do this. There wasn't a question of maybe I'll go down and see what happens. And that's where a lot of us get in the midst of our faith is let's go down and see what happens. We don't have a mind made up when we get there. Let's go down and see what happens. Let's pray and see what happens. Let's just pray and see what happens. A little popcorn prayer. Little Yorkie, be around, pick it up in a minute. Hmm. 37. Some moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. So now he found some agreement. Go, and the Lord be with you. So Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put on a bronze helmet on his head, and he also clothed him with a coat of mail. And David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he was not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. So David took them off. So then he took the staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and he put them in his shepherd's bag in a pouch which he had. And the sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. So David's going with what he knows. He's going with what he's tested. He's going with what he knows. Somebody else is trying to give him this other stuff, this other, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And like, no, I'm going with what I know. I can't walk in this. I've not tested this, but this I know. The staff in my hand, I have slain a lion and a bear. With a sling in my hand, I have taken out things. So what I have in my hand, I know I've tested. I can walk this out with what I know. This faith of which I have, I've walked this out. Let me show you. Amen. A lot of people will come to you and trying to tell you what it is you need to do. And it doesn't line up. It doesn't fit. you don't place yourself in that mold because you don't fit in that mold. It doesn't work. But you go with what you know. You go with what God has shown you. You go with what you've tested out when it comes to your faith. It's you and it's Him. You're walking this process out. There's faith that you've been building on. I can't all of a sudden stop what it is I'm doing and try somebody else's way. You got me? I can't test it out somebody else's way because I've not walked that out. I walk a process in my own life. I walk the process of faith that I have. What I know is growing. Yours may not be with mine, or yours may be far superior to mine. But I walk with what I know because I've tested it. I know how to use it. If I've got a staff in my hand, I don't know how to use a sword. I can use the staff. But likewise, if I had a sword in my hand, I might not be able to use the staff because I'm used to the sword. So catch that, where you're at. You're walking this process out. It's your faith that you're growing. That's what you've been testing. That's what you're growing in. That's what you know. That's what you use. Because this is what's going to carry you through. Amen. Somebody can stand beside you in their armor, carrying their sword, helping you. But you can't use theirs and make it yours. You got me? Verse 40 said, then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and he put them in his shepherd's bag and in a pouch which he had. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. So he didn't wait for him to come to him. He went to him. So the Philistine came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore his shield went before him. So David just by himself. He can't even get a man to agree to walk with him. So when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he was disdained, for he was only a youth, ruddy and good looking. I can just imagine that walking out. It'd be like me walking up and you sending little Israel up to fight me. I'd be like, seriously, this is what you send to fight me? You sending this to come out against me? Really? Here I've been standing before y'all defying the armies, and y'all send me this to fight me? Seriously? So I could almost imagine the disdain that's going through this man's head. It says, so the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? David got the staff in his hand. My dog that you come at me with a stick, you're going to beat me with a stick, really? So then the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. So then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts and the God of the armies of Israel, from whom you have defied. He didn't come up and say, I come at you with some rocks. He didn't say, I'm coming at you with a stick. He said, you're coming at me with a sword. You're coming at me with a spear. You're coming at me with all this stuff. You're telling me what you got, what you're going to do. That's all the enemy's got, showing you everything he's got. And you go out and meet him and said, I come to you in the name of the Lord. It's done. It's done. So this day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. He didn't ask, well, maybe God's going to deliver you. He said, this day God's going to deliver you into my hand. There wasn't a question. That's where we got to get. There's no question. So this day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And I can just imagine this. Goliath standing at 9 foot or whatever he is, and he's looking at this guy. If Saul is bigger than he is, at 6 foot something, so we're looking at David's probably, 5'9", 5'10", maybe. And you got this man who's standing about 3 foot, 4 foot taller than he is, looking at him, and he's talking about, you're going to take my head? Son, you can't even jump high enough to thump me in the forehead, let alone take my head off. Come on now. So I'm going to be delivered in your hands. You're going to take my head. I can just imagine the disdain in this man. So I will take your head from you, and this day I will give your carcass to the camp of the Philistines, to the birds of the air, I will give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and all that the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. So he's telling Goliath. So then all the assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with the sword or the spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So it was then when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine. He didn't back up. Guys, he didn't back up. This is what we're talking about faith. When things are coming at you, you don't back up. The enemy's coming at you, you don't back up. You go to meet it. Why? Because you got truth. Why? Because you got faith. Why? It's because you got the name of God on your side. It's going to bow its knee. You can take its head. He didn't back up. He didn't run away. If David had turned and run, this had been a whole different story. But his faith was in God. He knew who God was. He'd already seen God work in his life. It had been tested in his life. He knew who God was in his life. He knew the faith that he had. There wasn't a question of what he was doing. He ran to the situation. So then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone, and he slung it. And it struck the Philistine on the forehead, so that the stone sank into the forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. And it says, so David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. So therefore David ran, stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of its sheath, and killed him, and cut off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. So there should be no question inside of us of who we are. There should be no question inside of us of what we are capable of by faith. There should be no question inside of you about things going on, about what the outcome's going to be. And it starts with simple things. Those of us that got children at home, one of your babies wake up sick, what do? Oh, you poor thing. You better be speaking to it, laying hands on them, commanding that thing to get. It can't stay in my house. What happens if you wake up sick? You gonna lay in a bed? You gonna go look for an aspirin? If you need it, go ahead. But you better speak to it. Don't matter what's going on in the body, speak to it. I'm not against doctors. I'm not against medicine. If I have a headache, I may pop an Advil. But I'm going to grab myself first. Like, Lord, I need some relief here. This can't stay. This can't stay. I put my faith on it. I don't just pop an Advil and run. I speak to it first. Why? That's where my faith is. I speak to it. One of these days, my faith finally gets there. I'm good to go. But it's a process I'm growing in. It's something that we should all be growing in. Faith doesn't stop. It's a process we continue to grow in. But you start looking at situations in your life that's rising up, and it's like, what do? You going to run from it, or are you going to go meet it? The enemy wants you to run. Because if you're running, you're looking at the size. You're looking at how big it is, how wide it is, how tall it is, how massive it is, listening to it talk. Some of us were probably the king of trash talk back in the day. It's amazing what you can do to somebody just by trash talk. You impose yourself over them. You begin to trash talk. You begin to tell them what you're fixing to do. People you watch kind of wilt away. Then you got others like stand up like, I don't care, come on. But most of the time when you get into a lot of trash talk, people kind of wilt away. That's all the enemy's got is trash talk. But he will kill you if you turn and run. Because there's nothing there to stop him. When I'm talking about killing you, he's got your backside. He got everything he wants. You're running. He's advancing. He's taking ground. But when he starts his trash talk, all you got to do is walk up. You come at me with all of this. I got one name for you. One name for you is all I need. If all devils in hell tremble at his name, come on. What else do you need? But too many of us are looking at the giant. We're looking at the Goliath, and we see him. It's big. There's a lot of stuff there. Got a big sword, a big spear. He's got somebody carrying his shield that's so big. And we see it coming at us, and we begin to question ourselves. We're beginning to question who we are. We begin to question people around us. We begin to question what's going on instead of just running to it. Let me tell you what God's going to do today. Let me tell you what God's going to do for me today. Let me tell you what He's going to do. He's going to deliver you into my hands. I'm going to cut your head off. Mine's staying put. I'm cutting yours off. And I ain't going to lose a hair over it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not going to get myself so wrapped up that I cause my body to be physically sick because I'm worried about it or stressed over it or all this other things going on because that's where, guys, we make it easy on Him. Think about it. We make it easy on Him. We allow ourselves to get in places and we stop. And we make it easy on Him. Keeps piling it on us and we keep taking it in. And before long, He ain't got to do nothing but walk by and look at you. Just get it all stirred up again. We make it so easy. But the moment you decide you're going to take a step and stand up and say, this stops now, let me tell you something. Some of us have been the bully on the playground. Some of us have had to deal with a bully on the playground. But you know, it's usually when you run to a bully, when you stand up to a bully. When you stand up to a bully, most of the time, it's done. You might have to take a couple of swings, but it's done. All of a sudden, there's something, I can't bully this one no more. I can't come at him with this no more. I can't come at her with this no more. I can't scare her with this no more. I can't scare him with this no more. This doesn't work anymore. So Boo drove back there, yeah, I take on a bully. And it has nothing to do about the size, but it's all about the faith. What do you want to see? When I'm talking about what are you willing to do to see it come to pass? What are you willing to just stand up to? Because I don't believe David got up that morning and decided, hey, I'm going to go stand against the giant. He hadn't been there to see this yet. But he walks into a situation that looks hopeless. He's got the whole army of Israel. I mean, every man in Israel that's the fighting man, every man of valor. He's even got the king there that's scared. He's got the king's valiant men who are scared. He's got the mighty men of valor for the king that are scared. Nobody's going out. Here he is, a shepherd boy, as they call him, walking in, and he's seeing this situation going on. I don't believe he got up at morning thinking, I'm going to go kill a giant. I don't think it was a process yet. But he walks up and sees what's happening. Is like, why is this taking place? We've got the armies of God sitting here. We've got the armies of Israel sitting here. Why is that even allowed here? Why have they not already been decimated? Why have we not already taken ground? But it took somebody coming in with some faith. Said, you know what? I will take care of this for you. Don't worry, King. I got this. Y'all sit back and watch. It's okay. It's all y'all been doing anyway. I got this. Watch what God does. Watch what God does. Even to the point made his brother mad because he's willing to go do something. His own brothers is mad at him because he's willing to go do something. Why? It's because they got checked in their place. Family will get upset with you because they get checked in their place. People in your life will get upset with you because they get checked in their place. You're no longer agreeing with them. You're moving forward with the things of God. Move forward with the things of God. Watch Goliath's head come off his shoulders. You get to carry it around triumphantly. Look what God has done. Look what he's done through me. I think some of y'all are seeing these Goliaths this morning. And as big as it looks, it falls that easy. We've all heard that. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Yeah. Trust me, when this big man goes down, it's a hard fall. It hurts. So trust me, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. It's true. It is true. It is true. But when it comes to things of spirit, you ain't taking me off my feet. You ain't big enough to knock me off my feet. I'm planted. I'm firm. And that's where we've got to get. We're planted. We're firm. We're growing. We're growing at where we're at. We're growing in the things of God. We're growing in our faith. But it all boils down to, guys, what do you want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to see? And then what are you willing to do? David could have been just like the rest of them that sat there. Talked about it for the rest of his life. I'll remember when. I'll remember when I had a chance. I'll remember. Instead of being able to tell a story, y'all remember when? Y'all remember when that come against us? Do you remember and watch the hand of God come through? Do you remember what God's done for us? Do you remember what legacy do you want following you? So, in other words, if you had a report card right now, it'd be kind of like, where's your faith at in the middle of that? You up here on the A plus? You down here in the B's? You in the C's? You in the D's? You in the F's? I don't know how far down it would go, but it's okay. No matter where you're at, you can come on up. You can come on up. It doesn't matter where you're at. You can come on up. We always advance with God. He doesn't stop with an A plus. He's got an A plus infinity out across there. I like to think I'm in the A plus area. I may not be yet, but I want it. Then I want to be on that infinity timeline going out across there with the extra pluses. The deal is, I'm willing to go there. I want to see the place. I'm willing to put my faith in the mix of it. I want to see it happen. So what do you want to see? I don't know why I look over here so much. It's like I got people. I always. Y'all just get all of it, I guess. Skylar hiding in the back burger. I know it. I had to give y'all some good meat and potatoes today since we're not meeting tonight. But check yourself from where you're at. What do you want to see? Where are you at in the midst of this? Where are you at? What do you want to see grow? What you feed grows. What you exercise grows. It don't matter if you're in there on a 2-pound weight or you pumping up 200 or 300. Start somewhere, but let it grow. There may be people that laugh at you when you walked in the gym and started. That's all right. They had to start somewhere too. That's one thing I've never done, walk in the gym and laugh at somebody else, watch and see where they're at, because I'm thinking, I was there once too. They're trying to better themselves. When you see people that's working their faith, it's okay. Help them. Hey, look, this is working, but let me show you what's working. Let me give you some pointers. Let me help you here. But be willing to grow what you got. Be willing to work it. I'm telling you guys, if it doesn't take, and the word tells you if you had faith the size of the grain of a mustard seed, have you ever seen a mustard seed? It's a little bitty. And if faith that size could move a mountain, be cast into the sea because you told it to, it doesn't take much. But you got to be willing to grow what you got. I like to think I've already took my seed and got a big bush going here, but that's what I see, it's what I want. And if it's a bush, I'm ready for the tree. But what do you want to see? And all of us have got things in our lives we want to see, but what are we willing to do? We're willing to go for it. We're willing to put our faith on it. We're willing to see it move. And it starts with simple things. It's like I'm talking about just babies. Kids wake up sick. What do? You wake up sick. What do you do? Guys, I even pray for my animals. I'll be quite honest with you. Ashton's little Yorkie feeling bad. We'll put hands on her. God cares. That boxer my wife used to have, that was the most holy boxer I think there ever was. That dog got prayed for more than anything I've ever seen in my life. He get in a fight, get beat up, and she praying for him. We've been there anointing him with oil, praying for him. Why? God cares. That's where our faith was. I ain't going to take him to the vet and have a $500 bill. Just believe God over and watch it turn around. And he never disappointed. But I was willing to put my faith on that. Why? Because she loved that dog. I love that dog. Want to make sure it's where you at. Grow where you're at. You got a pet toad frog. Go ahead. Lay hands on him. You know, it sounds foolish, but I'm talking about that. You grow where you're at. That's what you begin to take on. You grow where you're at. Too many of us are looking at the generals in the faith, thinking, "Wow, they started somewhere. They started somewhere. There's something that had to grow within inside of them." I know great men and women of God have got some massive faith, and I'm like, I ain't there yet. But I don't think I can't ever achieve it. I ain't ever going to be there. Like, watch out, here I come. Hold the door. I'm coming. Well, it's because it's what I want. It's what I see. It's what I'm willing to go for. Trust me, the enemy will try you. God won't. The enemy will try you. Just remember when Goliath walks out there, all you got is one name you got to use. That's it. That's it. That's it. Jesus. And everything else is gone. It's that simple. You know, these are the kind of messages you're going to hear a lot. I heard a quote yesterday by Charles Spurgeon. He said, when you start a message, he said, you're only started at 50. 50 times. He said it takes up to 50 times for it to really start seeding inside of people, really capturing what it is. So when he would preach a message, he would do it over 50 times. I don't know if he did it in a row, but he was talking about he would do it over 50 times for it to set inside the people. You got Kenneth Hagin standing up and said, I've preached them hundreds of times. But the basics of what we consider our faith is just that. It's basics, but we got to capture the basics. Because if you don't know who you are and what it is you got, there's no sense in giving you a whole bunch of other stuff when it goes right back down to the basics. We got to know who we are and what it is we have. Every one of y'all walking around with a big old pocket knife. But not every one of you realize you got it. It's that simple. Pull that thing out. Use it. But you got to capture the fact that you got it. God give it to you. It's ours. Use it. It's yours. Use it. Keep it sharp. Keep it sharp. I got to quit for today. Love ministry. It's amazing. But if you heard nothing else today, guys, where are you at? What do you want to see? What do you want to see? Talk to God about it. Some of us have got these Goliaths we're seeing in our lives. Take it before Him. We need to see a change. Go at it with everything you got. Go at it with everything you got. David took everything he had. He didn't go out there with just a stick. He didn't go out there with just a sling, although that was all he needed. But he went at it with everything he had. So when you got God on your side and you're working things in faith, there's nothing else you need. There's nothing else you need. But what do you want to see? Because it's up to you to watch it come to pass. It's up to you to work the faith. It's up to you to begin to exercise that faith. I can exercise mine for you all day long. You can see it. You can see how it works. It's like going to the gym, watching somebody work out. You can watch them do it all day long. You can watch them bench presses. You can watch them bicep curls. You can watch all this stuff going on. But until you do it to yourself, it's not going to help you none at all. It's not going to benefit you at all. You think, man, whew, they got it. Look at them. Boy, man, that's awesome. You get over and puff up all you want to. It didn't do you any good. You can stand over and mirror and flex all you want to. It didn't help you none at all. They're getting the benefit. Now, when you learn to exercise it, you get the benefit as well. You're getting to see it at work. All right, this is how this works. All right. Next time you get to stand in front of the mirror, ooh, oh, yeah, I seen a ripple. Woo. Whatever it takes. Wherever you're at. Let me laugh at me, Boudreaux. I used to amaze Boudreaux. He used to make me feel like I was 9 foot tall anyway. Me and him work together and be like, my God, you moved that. Like, yeah, I did. That's something I did every day, but he was amazed about it. Yeah. He know how to puff me up real quick, boy, I'm telling you. He used to amaze him. I thought it was awesome. I digress. But if you want the benefit, guys, we got to work it. We got to see it. Amen. I'm going to turn this over to my wife. I'm going to keep going.
Yes, you can't have one. Amen. Amen. Awesome word today. Awesome. I said that because I accompanied him to the gym, and I am not a gym going person, or I have not been in the past. And I went in and I was like, go do your thing. And I'll just, yeah. But it was unfamiliar to me, and I didn't know how everything worked. And so he's doing his thing, and I'm like, so I went to the locker room and I hid in there until he sends me a message. Where are you at? Oh, I'm in the locker room. We can't hide in the locker room and expect it to work. We've got to exercise our faith. We got to get out there. And if we don't know how it works, there's somebody in our lives that's there to help us. There's a coach. There's somebody that does know how it works, that God has placed in our lives to show us, to help us. He would not have made fun of me. He would not have, downgraded me or belittled me or anything. But it was unfamiliar, and I was, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to go and hide in the locker room. We can't hide anymore. If we don't know how to do it, let's get out there and try. Let's ask questions. Let's get around people who do know how to do it. If our faith's not where it needs to be, let's get around those that their faith is up there. Let's submit ourselves. Let's not be haughty. Let's not be fearful. Let's go get it. We were made for this. Amen. Amen. Father God, we thank you for the word today. God, we thank you that you've given us a measure of faith. You've given us all that we need to go after everything that you've put in our hearts to do. God, I thank you for those dreams and those visions and those things that you've placed in our hearts, God, the things that you have placed in our hearts for us to accomplish. God, you placed them there. And Father, I thank you that you've given us the faith to see them come to pass. God, I thank you for those dreams coming alive again. Father, I thank you for the hope coming alive again inside of us, and we go after what you've put in our hearts to go after. Father, we thank you for the word. God, we thank you for every person here today, and we bless them. And God, we thank you for this evening to have to rest and to spend time with you. And we declare It is going to be the best week we've ever had. In Jesus' name, amen.